changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back ever again.
You ain't see me activated. You better hope that you never see me agitated. I think about my actions, plan them out, evaluated. That's how I end up on the top, man, I'm calculated. My mind's a weapon, my body is the engine. I'm never second guessing, I just do what I was destined. Cause I feel I got the blessing, persistence and obsession. That's how you keep progressing, I already learned that lesson, yeah.
I'm changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back ever again. You can't stop what's moving. You can't stop what's moving. I'm changing my life, and I won't look back ever again.
No fear, see clear, you deserve to be great. I know it feels like things get in your way. Push through those walls and the others will fall. Sit up, stand tall, you can get through it all. I need some energy, anxiety's no friend to me. I have a short memory, I don't really remember things. That's how I move on, that's how I stay strong. A new day's on, I'll keep moving right along. And I feel like the pain in the past, it needs to stay in the past. You gotta take off the cast. I wanna feel like I'm a new person. I wanna have clear vision and purpose. And I feel like the pain shouldn't last. If you can move on and past the things that make you feel bad, and you can change in your brain, I'm certain. I've done it before, and man, I'm not perfect.
I'm changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back ever again. You can't stop what's moving. You can't stop what's moving. I'm changing my life, and I won't look back ever again.
We can make an impact, grab and then take it. What is going on, fam? Welcome back to another episode. My name is TradeFly, bringing you some of the most important market news as well as technical analysis that you can actually use. Bitcoin currently hovering right at about $70,000. Yes, we are just a smidge over that 2021 high. Looking okay. We're going up for another retest. We're getting to an all-important zone that we have been talking about ad nauseum here on this show, and that is $72,000 to $74,000. It is a really big line in the sand. It's a very important horizontal. There's a lot of other pieces of confluence, we'll say, technicals that are aligning in that area as well, and that is the area that we got to get through if we want to kind of flip the narrative a little bit and start looking to have more of a bullish bias. That being said, welcome to the show. If you guys enjoy today's show, please like and subscribe. That would help me grow. As always, come on over to the Discord. That's all I'm going to shill it. Just go down to the description if you guys want to be a piece of that. And I'm going to say what's up to the homies in the chat because that's how we roll. That's what I like to do. And of course, we got Alexandra G, the best mod in all of the space in the chat. How you doing, lady? Thank you for being here. We got all set in the house. How you doing? Hope all is well. And dropping in, we got F-Bomb. How you doing? Good to see you in the chat. Let's go ahead and get this party started. First things first is we are going to look at the total market cap. That is up 2.84%. So we are trending up again. Last time we talked, we were up, and it's at 2.42 trillion. Fear and greed index is sitting at 29. Fear, that is good, trending up just a little bit, and that makes sense. We're pushing up for a second retest of a very key level. Bitcoin currently at 70,000. That is up 2.31%. Ethereum is at $2,040, and that is up 1.32%. Let's go ahead and look at some of the top 10. BNB is at $641, XRP at $1.39, Solana at $86.27, Tron at 28 cents, and Dogecoin at 9.5 cents. Cardano, man, Cardano has been getting beat up here the past few months. That is at 26 cents. I mean, we are talking near bear market lows for Cardano time now. Bitcoin dominance currently sitting at 58.9%. I think that is about the same as the last time that we talked. And I think that about wraps this one up. Let's go ahead and go over to the liquidation heat map on the 3-day. Now, very important to note here, you have seen we had a lot of liquidity sitting at about 69K and above. You can see right now it's getting lighter and lighter with each push up. Now, it makes sense to see liquidity come in as the price pushes up. You see those rejections goes up, little liquidity will build, those are stop losses, just like a lot of people trade, right? You get up to those levels and you see the rejection, what do? Well, they put their stop loss above the rejection, right? And they put their leveraged positions where they would get liquidated above that rejection. Well, that didn't work out for the people that were sitting at about 71,350. They all got pushed out, right? So the interesting part is, I mean, when something is trending like it is right now, you can see a very clear series of higher highs and higher lows. If something is trending right now, be very, very careful when you have liquidity to the top side of a trend. I mean, that's, hey man, be smart, right? And don't be part of that liquidity. That's one of the biggest things that I try to teach, is that I like to see that liquidity off the table before I want to take that entry. All right, so right now, you can see, I wouldn't even say there's, I mean, yes, there's liquidity to the bottom side, but it's not like super dense, right? You can't see where it's getting a lot lighter. You can see these really hot spots here. You're not seeing kind of the same buildup. I would imagine, though, you will start to see that a little bit more as time goes on at around 65.5 or so. That would make sense to see more of that liquidity come into the equation there. But if you see a reversal and if you see it start to trend down, then actually you could not see that actually build up, because why would you take a risk and being part of that liquidity, as we mentioned? All right, let's go over the chat. I see some people flowing in here. I gotta say what's up. We got the real Goku 005. What up to you? B Team Crypto, my dude. How you doing, brother? And DDT, my man, in the chat. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and get over to the next segment. That's going to be the daily DGen. All right, we got 5 votes in. We got 60% moon, so you guys can move the needle here. All right, daily DGen, the way that works, I give you guys, the audience, the opportunity to vote whether we go long or short. I actually take the trade and then we'll follow up on it later. We don't really do any TA on it. It is literally up to you guys to vote which way we're going to go. So no, this is not how I normally trade, but it is a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and get it started. All right, over to 2bit. That's the exchange that I'm using right now. If you guys want full access to all of my analysis, that is how you get access to it. All you got to do is join through my affiliate link, add $5 to it. That is for you, not for me. Just make sure that you're real and not a bot, but that will give you access to everything in the Discord. And once I move everything over to Alex O's Discord, you will still have access to all of my content within his Discord. That's the agreement that we have in place. All right, so over to 2bit. Let's see. Oh, yeah. If you guys want to save 20%, there you go. Use TFSave20. There's also a promo going right now. It is their birthday. You can win up to you can't win 3.5 million, but you can win a piece of 3.5 million. We also have a promo that's going for my members based on volume. You guys will get a cash kickback based on how much volume you actually use. Going over to my X or the Discord, you guys can see that as well. But Daily DJing, let's get this party started. You guys are 50-50. Come on now. You're 50-50. What you want me to be the tiebreaker? All right, I'll be the tiebreaker. You know what? I'm gonna. Oh, look at it. Look, it wants to push. You got a high volume area node here. Let's see. What did we actually pull back to? Let's do a fib retracement from low to high there. Pretty darn close to the 0.786 with a high volume area node. At least on the lower time frame. You're talking about the 3-minute here. That's a nice little node. You guys are 50-50. I'll be the tiebreaker. All right. You guys are usually bull-tards anyways. Let's go ahead and put 5 on it. There we go. We got 5 on it. Here we go. Here we go. A little bit of rejection there. Let's see what happens. Boom. It's in there. Oh, wow. We went... Well, I didn't check the leverage. We went full degen. No doubt about it. It's only $5. No big deal. But that's an 80x play. That's an 80x play. So you are really sitting at the top here. Again, we don't do a lot of TA. I really don't do any TA. I don't know what I'm doing here. I gotta stop, man. Sometimes it's hard. But push back from the high volume area node up to the VWAP. That could happen. That could happen, at least during the time of the show. Let's go ahead and protect ourselves. This is a crazy 80x play here. We'll put it just below the wick here. Got it, and then we'll put a TP. We'll be somewhat smart here. There you go. There you go. There's your TP, and there's your stop loss. We can't be complete degens. That is in. We can set it and forget it at this point. If we hear a little ring ding 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 dong, that means we either got liquidated or we made some money. We'll find out as the show goes on. Let's go over to the news. And we got my man Elmer Fudd out. How you doing, bro? Good to see you. Oil, man, it has been absolutely bonkers, the price action. All right, went up to 120, then it went to 80, now it's going back up, and a lot of it has to do with Iran, right? Iran and the oil that they have there, as well as the Straits. That is a big, we'll say, I want to say like 20% of the world's oil kind of flows through that strait there just to the south of Iran. So, you know, it's a really, really big, it's a big deal. It's a big deal in terms of logistics, all right, getting ships through. Now, there's a whole big debate on, you know, the Navy and all that. I think one of the things they're talking about now is that they've been planting mines out there. Maybe, but my guess is those mines were already out there, to be a realsies with you. They're not planting them, I'm sure, right now because it's relatively being controlled, and there's also some things that the military can do to kind of detect those. We'll kind of save what that is and how that works, but just know that capability is out there to detect them, right? Because think about it, like you can see kind of in the water a little bit. It's not the same as protecting things under land and stuff like that, right? You can use sonar and all that good stuff, and you'll get pings, and you can kind of figure things out like that. Anyways, so that's why you've had that big fluctuation in oil prices. I think, and this is only speculation, I think that like this game is going to be over soon, I think, in terms of the oil, because at some point, you know, the US is going to come out and be like, hey, like we're controlling it all, right? And you know, depending on what you feel politically, you might think that's end game anyways. Here nor there. Let's go ahead and flip on into the charts, because that's really why you guys are here. And here we go. All right, so let's zoom out. We'll start zoomed out. And, you know, that's what I want to look at first. Yo, Blockchain Crusader in the house. What up, my dude? Good to see you, brother. Thank you for being here, man. Much love to him. Go check Blockchain out, dude. He's a super good dude. Subscribe to him on YouTube. I mean, he's on everything. X, TikTok. He's doing it all, man. I think he's Insta, all that. My man is a media connoisseur. All right, so, So off the 2021 highs, all right, you had about a 77 drawback, whatever. All right, and that took about 376 bars. So if you're extrapolating, right, let's take the all-time high, and if we were to pull back about 75% and 376 bars, you're just extrapolating. That puts you in about October, Q3 of the year. A lot of people have been talking about that. But, you know, there's a couple, like, if you're looking at a horizontal as well, like, hey, like, that's intriguing. Why is it intriguing? Because let's actually draw the line together so that you can see why it's intriguing. I'm not saying it's going here, but if it does go here, you know, it's one of those times where I'm very interested. I am very interested because, one, look at how clear the horizontal is there. All right, so you would be retesting the high of this range. You would the retest a swing low here off of the April 21 high, and then, you know, it's about the right time frame in terms of when we're looking for that turnaround in the market. So again, I'm not really saying it's going there, but the other interesting thing is, as I was kind of looking at this, just time-based movements in terms of the price action, is look where we were in about March of 22. Off the high, March 22, look where we're at, cool. Now you come over here and it's like, dang, it's retesting really the bottom of this channel, all right? Again, this channel is derived from 2021 off the high to the low. Look at that, high to the low. Now, ultimately, we did fall below, but look, I mean, is history, you know, I'm not going to say completely repeating itself, but very interesting. We are right there at the low of this trend. So very, very interesting, or at least this channel. Sorry, not the trend. So that's indicated here by these two big blue arrows. Just something for you to be aware of. All right, so don't think that we're out of the woods by any means. I think where we're at right now is actually a really, really big line in the sand for us. 72 to 74K. So let's go ahead and zoom in. We'll go to the 4 hour here and look at that. Why do I think it's important? Well, there is a ton of reasons. One, the horizontal, you know, it doesn't get much more clear than currently. I guess we'll have to go to the daily to see it super clear here. There you go. So let's go to the daily so you can really see that area. There you go. So top of the range, right? You can see it was rejected, impulse moved through. Now, impulse moved through is really, really important because that tells you that that level was significant resistance, and it's something that they're going to pay attention to when price action comes back down. What did it ultimately do? Came right back to that level, and bam, off to the races it went. So that again tells you it's important. Now, what have we done? We came down here, we got a little bounce out of that area, right? A little bounce, but ultimately it fell through. Impulse moved through. All right, so we did impulse move through here, bounce, impulse move through here, got it. And then what did we do? Quickly back up to retest that level. All right, quickly back up. Now this one right here, we were looking at this. We've been looking at this for, I'd say, better part of a month. 72 to 74K has been the line in the sand from a horizontal perspective. No doubt about it. We came up and we took the liquidity, baby. Took the liquidity. Your boy had a short on that one. Yes, I did. And we called that here on the channel quite a bit. All right, so 72 to 74K, line in the sand, ultimately a rejection. I was kind of thinking, given the higher lows right there, full transparency, I was thinking more, you know, the POC of the range. POC of the range was kind of what I was expecting. We ultimately fell through that. I think that had a little bit of kind of the macro news, economics going on, you know, the war. Hopefully that doesn't hurt the algorithm. But, you know, the things that are going on in the Middle East, I think that was a factor. I really do think that was a factor. Ultimately, though, where did you come down to? Where did you come down? You came right down to the value area low. You came right down to that lower trend line of that channel. I mean, tested it almost perfectly, bounced, and here we are. So would I be looking for a long right here, right now? No, I would not be. Not until we get a little further down. If you know, there's a ton of confluence here at about 69K. 68.5 to 69K. You got the POC, you got the monthly pivot, you got the weekly pivot, all kind of aligning with each other right now. I was looking to full transparency. I was looking for a little bit more of a push up. And the reason I was looking for a little bit of a more push up is because if you come over here, we got a pretty significant order block sitting at about 72K. So push up 72K, got an order block. That means that there are passive orders on the books waiting. All right, waiting for price action to come up there. That is sell side pressure. All right, and of course, you're going to have a little bit of liquidity up there based on this rejection here. So you get a little liquidity, you trigger those orders, and then you start looking for the fade down to the POC, the monthly pivot, the weekly pivot. That's kind of what I was waiting for. So it looks like right now it's kind of front run me a little bit, which leaves me out of the game right now. But this around 68.5 to about 69 would be where you'd start being interested in potentially looking for a push back up. Now, if we keep pushing this 72 to 74K, this is where things get interesting. Why? Because if we break through that area, we're now looking at a potential change of character. All right, change of character on, I won't say the larger time frames, but you know, you're looking at 4 hour daily. If you're looking at a change of character, right, when we break out through here, now I'm not saying when, I'm saying if. All right, so if we break out, right, this is where we'll be looking for. So you get that big bodied candle through that zone, right? Impulse move through. That's where you start to get a little bit more bullish, and then you look for that retest. Now, this is where you start using the money maker. All right, now you go to Market Monkey Terminal. Now, what I would be looking for here, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Come on now. Come on. What I would be looking for, we'll zoom out just a little bit. Ignore what's on the table right now. I just understand you do have an order block up there. But if we were to push through, right, all of these orders right here, we push through these orders. I don't know, you don't have to go through. Actually, you do have to go through most of them. And look at that. Look at how they align with that zone that we're looking at. But here nor there, if you get that big push through the zone, right, and you have enough gusto behind it to get through all of this, then that kind of clears out the books, right? It clears this liquidity off the table. It clears the liquidations that would be there as well, but it gets rid of all these passive orders that are sitting there. What you would want to see is a continuation in CVD and a continuation in open interest, right? Because if you see open interest dumping the way it is right now, that's no good, okay? Because what that means is that people are likely taking profits, and then the price is probably going to pull back a little bit. But if you see open interest continuing to go up, what's that signifying? That means that orders are market, right? Market orders are coming into the equation. And then if you have a long bias with CVD, that means that longs are coming in, right? That shows you that people are joining the party. All right, they're jumping in with you. All right, so you got some homies when you come back for that retest. That is what I will be looking for, and that's how I use this. It's very, very simple in the way that I use it. I don't get overly complex. I don't get too tied around. Like if I'm scalping, then we start talking about absorption, exhaustion, and all that stuff. But simply put, if we're looking for more of an intraday or a swing trade, I think you keep it simple here, and you look for, people to be joining that party with you in terms of, can we get that continued price action in the direction we're looking for? Now, to the contrary, if you see the CVD turn and it's going down, and you see a wick and you see the orders get filled, then what are you looking for? Then you're looking to probably fade it. All right, it really, I would suggest, if you're not super experienced and you're just looking for the easy peasy way, it's a nice little bit of confluence. It's a nice little validation of what you would probably be looking for anyway, and that is a rejection in this area. Or if we get the impulse move through, what are you looking for? A breakout retest, right? So then you just it's kind of like your trigger. You go over here and you're like, all right, are the people playing along with me? Do they want to play the game with me as well? Yes, they do. Okay, cool. Let's play it in that direction. I'm not going to say it's a fail-safe, but I will say the hit rate is relatively good when I keep it simple just like that. All right, so 72 to 74K. Mark that on your charts. It is important. I would highly recommend keeping that on your charts. Now, all that, I mean, that's really what I'm looking for here in the near term with Bitcoin. I got to keep it realsies with you. That's the most important thing. That to me, that's on the chart right now. You can see a very distinct range. All right, you see the value area high sitting at about 69.6. Cool. You got the value area low. I do think that's important. That's at about 65.8, 65.9, and you have that lower trend line. Liquidity is a lot further down below. I mean, you're talking in the lower 60s is where you're going to have a good bit of liquidity. So you could look, if price goes down there, then you look for maybe a potential wick down there to take that liquidity. And if you see it push back, you know, that's when you might be able to take a quick position, a quick long position. And then if it breaks through all of that, then we might be open to the next leg down. And so this is how you can approach the market without, like, you don't have to, I mean, you're speculating to a point, but like, it's kind of like you let the market talk to you and then you formulate your bias and then you take your position, right? Like, that's what I would kind of be looking for. And the thing that I would say be wary right now is just the stair step down, you know, structure that you see, right? So consolidation, stair step down, consolidation range, stair step down, consolidation range. You know, do you see a move up, take liquidity, just like this one right here? Like, you got that one, went back up, got an, you know, went a little bit higher, and then poof. Like, that's what you got to be careful of, right? That manipulation where you get the accumulation, manipulation, and then to distribution. That's what you got to be very, very careful of. What you would like to see is really that retest there of the level. But again, how do you get ahead of that, and how can you be a little bit more confident in seeing it, you know, maybe establish a range up above 72 to 74K? I would say look at open interest and CVD and see if those align with the narrative. But that being said, all right, so yeah, man, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not going to get too crazy with it. If we do move down at all, I mean, that's going to hit my next DCA point. So we will talk about that. I got 3 DCA points at 72K, 53,000 and 42,000. All right, so let's talk about the next one down. We're nowhere near 42. Not even worth really discussing. Why am I looking at 53? That's based on a Fibonacci retracement level as well, the low of this previous range. So we call it the high. I'll catch the low. That'll be my next DCA point, and then 42,000 will be the next one. That's really just front running this low here. But if we get down into the 30s, your boy, I don't know. Maybe we do have a 4th DCA point. We'll see. Maybe I get a little crazy with it, but as of right now, I'm trying to front run it. Those are my 3 primary DCA points. So again, to reiterate, 72, 53, and 42 are my 3 spots. Bringing my call spaces down there into the middle, right, between those 3 DCA points. And then where would I be looking to exit? That would be back at my original. Okay, so like, it's not me saying, hey, we're gonna have this full on reversal and it's just up and away and it's, you know, up and right forever. No. I'm gonna take my profits at 72,000, which is my original DCA point. Now, if we see, this is the way I want to play the game, just so you understand. If we go above 72K now, all Gucci. What I would likely do is probably take my stop loss, move that to a reasonable spot. I got to kind of think that through a little bit more of how I want to play that game. But then I lock in that move if we get some continuation to the upside. Now, then I'm just in profits. Straight up in profits. Now, if we go down through my DCA points, again, bring the call spaces to the middle, I would exit at about 72K. I will take the profits because I will be in profit. Remember, my call spaces will be in the middle, right, of those 3 DCA points. Exit at 72K just in case we get a rejection and we come back down, right? So I can lock in those profits and then I can maybe play the game again. Or if it breaks out, what do I be looking for? Breakout retest, 72K. Trust me, it will come back and retest 72K at some point. Maybe it looks like this. You might be, you know, just putting your head in your hands saying, oh my God, I could have caught all this. Yeah, but look what it ultimately ended up doing. It came back and retested it, and then it went higher. Okay, so that's kind of the way that I'm approaching it currently. It hasn't really changed all that much. Let's go over to the chat. Let's say what's up to the homies. We got FJ Trade in the house. We got JT in here. What up to you? We got Crypto Squid. Have no fear. He is here. What up, dude? Good to see you, bro. Let's go. All right, so let's look at USDT dominance. Let's see what we got going on here. And we'll go down to the 4 hour because we were talking about that. Cool. Got a nice little push up. Remember, inverse correlation here. All right. Still a little fib off the current. That came down to about between the golden pocket and the platinum pocket there. I know Alexo loves that zone between those two levels. But I mean, you're starting to formulate a range. I mean, in my mind, you got a range that's kind of building here. Really, right there. Let's do a fixed range volume profile on that one. So we'll start it here when we entered and where we're at time now. So there you go. So remember, inverse correlation, right? So if you have USDT dominance going up, Bitcoin to go down, and vice versa. So looking at that right now, you are retesting the value area low as well as some prominent horizontal levels, or the prominent horizontal level is probably the better way to put it. That's a 7.836 to be a little bit more specific there. So you have that currently acting as resistance. You have the POC immediately above. So what does that mean? If you see a rejection, all right, that would be a good thing. If you see a move up, rejection, you know, then you're looking for maybe coming back down to about 7.6. Oh boy, here we go. You don't need all that. We'll bring that right there. There we go. Good enough for government work. So if you see a rejection right there off the value area low, that would be a good thing, right? Because then it opens up the door for a little bit of upside movement for Bitcoin. And I think that would make sense. But again, you're gonna have to see that rejection here for USDT dominance. But that would be nice. That would be logical. And if we can get that move up, you know, to the zone at around 72, where there's, you know, those orders, those passive orders sitting on the books, and we can get a little bit of a mean reversion play back down to the POC, that would be sick. That would be a really nice setup, and you'll have some confluence between the charts. Let's see what you got going on here for total market cap. You're still flirting with that 2.4 trillion. So we've had that horizontal just extending it out a little bit. That's where you're at right now. You're finding a little bit of resistance right here. Never got your bounce, right? You were looking for that breakout, hoping for a retest, but look, kind of flagged out. For those that love the bull flags, I'm not a big fan. I am not a big fan. There's a multitude of reasons, but do your research on that. They got a 50% hit rate. It's not too great. So you know, not a real big fan of those. You can see it flagged out. Never really got that bounce out of that. Just got below the horizontal there, and then ultimately just continued that downward pressure. Right? Really, what are you seeing? You're seeing downward pressure. What are you seeing here? Downward pressure, and then ultimately it just gave away. Now you're retesting that horizontal again. You can see the divide right there in that price action. Right there in that price action. And of course, previously it was resistance as well, right about 2.4 trillion. Now, if it pops through that zone, that again, that would be kind of nice. So if we see kind of that the confluence between, let's say, USDT dominance, where you get a rejection out of there, and you see total market cap pop through the horizontal, that's opening up the door. That would open up the door a little bit for Bitcoin to have some movement to the upside. We will see. But again, I'm not super keen on taking a long right here, right now. To be honest with you, I think that daily degen is probably upside down. But I'm not too keen on taking a long right here. Again, a little bit further down for me is where I would start, you know, entertaining the idea, knowing that we have confluence there in the zone around the POC and the pivots. Then we can go over to the order flow and start looking at that and seeing, do we have, you know, open interest in CBD supporting the narrative there for a little bit of a bounce. Let's see what we got in terms of the volume around. Let me see here. What's POC at? Just double check that. Yeah, about 69. All right, let's come here. Took a little bit further down at about 69. Okay. Yeah, a little bit of a gap there, but I would say that's where the volume starts coming back in on the 5 minute. Let's kind of push that up there. There you go. About 69, yeah. So you got a little bit of volume starting to come in right there. So you can see the gap, right? From here to here. And that's right about at the same point that you see the POC of the range. Just coming back left on the chart as well, just kind of looking at some of the horizontals, you do see very clear support, very clear resistance. Again, that's all around, you know, 68, 68.9, right, to about 69, right? So that looks like an area of interest, we'll say. All right, so that's something that I say keep an eye on, you know, for a potential little bounce out of that area. All right, look at the chart, or not the chart, the chat. See what we got here. We got Wick's wife in the house. What up to you, lady? Good to see you. Hope all is well with you. We got Wayne C in the house. How you doing? Good to see you, bro. All right, let's go to ETH. We'll take a look at ETH real quick. Just extend this out. You can see, oh, look at that, man. We had this little little trend line that we drew, and look, it is what was support has turned into resistance, even though it's going up. That's, you know, looking good in terms of pushing its way up, but it's adding a little bit of resistance here. Very interesting that it continued to respect that trend line as the price continued to push. Let's go ahead and update the fixed range volume profile. And here you go. So yeah, you're flirting with the value area high as well for Ethereum. Let's extend out some of this liquidity. Let's actually update it, because we actually took the liquidity and now you're dipping your toes back into it. Dipping your toes back into the liquidity there. Let's turn on the moving averages. Let's see where those are at on the 4 hour. They are below you. Okay. On the 4 hour, where are they at on the daily? Above you. All right, so that's the 50. Let me double check that. Light blue, yep. That's your 50 EMA. Let's see what the SMA is saying. There you go. Yep. Still about the same spot. So yeah, I mean, you do have that above you. It's not, you know, anything crazy. It looks like you are in the platinum pocket of that move though. But this stair step is very clear as well. I think that looks a lot like Bitcoin, right? Set the high, range, step down, range, step down, range. So it's kind of, you know, it's the same thing across the board on a lot of these assets. We got to see something a little bit different. I mean, you can try trading the range. You know, I've been doing that with some of the scalping, but you know, you can't really flip the narrative or flip your bias until you push above the current range. Right now, that's kind of sitting at about 21 to 2200. And if you get over the 50 SMA, that would actually be, you know, a little bit better for Ethereum, getting over that 50 SMA and outside of the range, seeing a little breakout retest action. You know, if we can push through, now that would be of interest to me, retesting the top of the range, and then looking for a potential move up to about 2600. I think is a very realistic probability if we were to break out. And now you're gonna have to get an impulse move. Other than that, man, it's just staying in that damn range, up, down, left, right, all over. But man, you could just trade at this range over and over again. Down, up, there you go. Let's see what happened to old Biddy. Did it push down a little? Yeah, that thing, that daily degen is cooked, bro. All right, I heard the ching ching. It's cooked. So, but yeah, that's something I would look for Ethereum. Kind of same as Bitcoin, really. Getting that breakout retest. You can look for CVD and open interest for Ethereum. I really for most of the assets, but I don't get too tied around the alts. Ethereum is probably okay to flirt with a little bit, but really I would look at Bitcoin and it to parallel Bitcoin, because that is really your North Star. All right. If we were to move down, I think your next stop here for Ethereum. Yeah, I mean, you're looking probably 1400 or so. Maybe 15 to 1400 would be your next little stop there, I think. And then that's really where it's going to get interesting, because then you're taking yourself back to April 25, man. That's, ugh. But what do you know? What do you know about this area? What's sitting down here? I know you know. All right, that's where a lot of liquidity is going to be sitting. So there is a vested interest to come down here, take that liquidity off the table before ultimately seeing a reversal and a move back up. So if you do get that move down and then you reestablish the range that we're currently in, that might be an opportunity. If you're looking for a longer play on Ethereum, something where you want to stay in, you know, for a bit. The problem is that's pretty damn close now. And what do you, let me see here. Math. All right. So somewhere in October, you still got a long ways to go. You got a long ways to go in terms of time. Like if you're looking at Q3, I just don't like the aggressiveness of the moves down that we've had, to be perfectly transparent with you. Let's, what's the high to the low here? 82%. What do we got going on here off the high? We're at 60. What would 80-ish percent all the way? Yeah, because it barely set a high. So you would be going all the way back to bear market lows if you got the same kind of pullback. But I think there'd be a lot of interest in sub $1,000 Ethereum. Now, again, I'm not here to predict to say that, yeah, it's going to go down there. But I mean, it's done it before and it's recovered and set an all-time high. So not that I'd say, hey, Ethereum is one of those things you buy and hold forever. I don't know that I believe in Ethereum like that anymore. I did think it was one of the big dogs. I mean, it is one of the big dogs, don't get me wrong, but like in terms of the parallel between Ethereum and Bitcoin, this is the projection, right? Like it should be way up here if you were to just extrapolate, you know, the trajectory of the move, right? Because it did parallel mostly with Bitcoin all through that pullback in that bear market, and then it just stopped. Bitcoin kept going. Ethereum said, nah, I'm good. I'm done here. And it had one more push up, but it didn't. I mean, it barely set another all-time high. So the parallel is not really there for me to be like super confident, but there's money to be made, right? There is money to be made. I mean, because the move, you know, is a little bit, it'll be a little bit more, right? Like, I mean, not much, but you're opening at least, I think you open up the door, like if you were to come down to about 14 or so, you're opening up the door, I think realistically to about 4K. And bro, ain't nobody gonna be mad about doubling their money. I mean, you're looking at 186%. So the opportunity is there, but like, don't be silly in my mind. Like, don't think that you're going up here. Like that's silliness. That's, if we were to break out and start forming a range or stair stepping up like above 4,000, then hey, like if you take this trade from 14 to 4K, that would be amazing and you'd be a rock star, right? But then no, you can get back in. And the thing that's nice about it, check this out. Let's say you were to jump on that for Ethereum, right? Let's say you take that and you take it up to 4K, you do all the right things, or 3,600. Let's say you take it somewhere up there. You can take your initial investment out of the equation. You don't have to use that. You don't have to go back in with that because you have doubled your money. So you take your initial investment, take that off, do something else with that, and the money that you made in profit, right? Your profits, you could get back into this trade. So you have the same original capital and you could get back into it. But then what you're doing, you're putting a stop loss below you because you're going to lock in some of that profit, most of that profit, right? So you're going to say, I'm willingly accepting a little bit of a threshold here where if it were to pull back 10, 15%, that's it. Like I may lose some of that profit, but my initial capital is safe and I can reinvest that somewhere else. Maybe something else, you know, takes off and there's another hotness that's coming out, you know, that you could jump in on or just reallocate that to Bitcoin. All right, like if you want to buy more Bitcoin with that, you know, initial capital. So not only did you get more Bitcoin, but then you got more Ethereum or the opportunity to take, you know, another stab at that. So that's kind of how I'm really approaching a lot of things right now in this, I guess, bear market, we'll call it. But this pullback off of the high, you know, that's kind of the way I'm approaching most of the investments right now, at least, and not even at least with almost all of the assets, Bitcoin, altcoins, all of it, I'm taking a very measured, conservative approach. You kind of have your lines in the sand, and that's what I'm doing here. Let's go ahead and look at MicroStrategies real quick. You did get a nice bounce off the 0.786. No big surprise there. You're running into the 50 SMA on the daily. And yeah, I got a little bit of confluence there with the value area low, previous range here as well. So that's all kind of aligning, you know, somewhere around 140 to about 144. Nothing too crazy there. I mean, the poopy part is if you didn't get down here to 0.786, right? Like that was a key level, no doubt about it. Scary to take a play there, but I mean, would be a very rational play if you didn't get in there. This is not where I'd be looking at taking a long. I mean, you are literally riding the 50 SMA down. If that don't change, if you don't see something different, you don't F with it. Problem is, if it does break, what are you running into? Well, you have this horizontal here. Now, you don't have to necessarily pay attention to the 0.66 and the 0.618 because that's not the way it works in terms of a fib retracement, but pretty good lines in the sand, and it aligns with the POC of the previous range as well. And you can see that that was something, right? When price came down, it flirted with that level quite a bit before ultimately breaking down and losing it. So I think you run straight into resistance. That's the moral of the story here. Straight into resistance. I think that's unless you're taking an intraday, you know, a short-term trade, I probably would lean towards staying away from it. But if you get above where the high of the range was, if you get above where the 618 is right now, not saying that, again, it's just a nice line in the sand, nice little area to look at. If you're getting above 183, you know, 185 in that range, and you're seeing consolidation or a range develop or some, you know, an impulse move through the zone, then you could be looking at it coming back down, retesting. What are we looking for there? And then maybe a move up. And I think that would be an aggressive move. I don't think that there is a lot of volume in this area. All right, so what would that look like? Retesting the low of where we had these bounces, I guess the low of the range, but really where you had these previous bounces before an impulse move down, that could be a really nice play. And again, that's I mean, you're looking at about 18%, and then you'd run right into the 200 because that's going to keep aggressively moving down as price action continues to work its way right. Probably add a little confluence in that zone as well. Again, I think that might not be too terrible. I mean, I know there's a lot of FUD around strategy, but I'm not bullish on that company because fundamentally it doesn't make sense. Everything is hedged on Bitcoin, period. Like that company, and it's not even logical that a company like that would all of their eggs are in one basket on Bitcoin. It's a company. People forget, like, it's actually a company too. It's not just Bitcoin. So for that reason, you know, you could see some weird dynamics. And, you know, Saylor, you know, he's a wild dude, man. He's put some companies under before. Read up on it. Let's look at NVIDIA real quick here. I mean, that's a pretty clear range. Yeah, we have talked about this area right here, this horizontal about 164. Why is this not coming up here? There it is. Yeah, so you can see a lack of volume in that area. So moving back down, retesting the high of this range here, I think would make a lot of sense if you lose the low here. If you lose the low, right there, coming down to the 0.382, coming down to the horizontal for NVIDIA at about we'll call it 150 to 154. That would be a really nice spot to be looking for, I'd say, a shorter play, right? And the reason I say that is because now you got to respect the 200. If you get under the 200, again, I'm very big on maintaining the structure or keeping the structure, not fighting that. And if you have a big line in the sand like the 200, you're gonna have to be very, very careful with that. So, you know, taking something from, you know, about 154 back up to the low of the range, that's something I'd be interested in because I do think you'll see some consolidation. I don't think it's just gonna be a straight move down. I think you'll see like a stair step, right? You got range, stair step down, range, bounces around in here, and then ultimately it'll make its move. We really could care less about what it does, but if we can catch this move in here, you're looking at about a 6.74% move right there in that range, and you might be able to take advantage of that a couple times. Now, if you reestablish above, hey, like then maybe you can look at taking the next leg up. But that's kind of how I'm going to approach a lot of my positions, to be perfectly clear with you, until I start to see structure that would support something different. All right, let's go back over the chat. Let's see what's up in here. I prefer Fridays. All right. What else we got? Looks good. Looks good. All right. All right. Ain't a whole lot going on. Just me talking to myself. All Gucci. Let's look at Cardano. We talked about that a little bit. Not looking good. Just getting its butt whooped. Again, you're bear market lows, bro. So, I mean, look at that wick down there. So that is taking all of the liquidity off the table. I won't say all of it. I take that back. But like in terms of Coinbase, gone. Gone. There is no more. Not on Coinbase. So, I mean, I'm assuming there was a transition at some point from DEXs to SEXs. SEXs? SEXs. All right. Centralized exchanges. It is a SEX. Yes, but maybe I can't say it. What am I doing with my life? Anyways, definitely liquidity down here. Nice little wick out of that zone. We've seen that before. We've seen that before. And what happened? Ultimately, you're down here, bear market lows, 24 cents, and you made it your way all the way back to 1.3. That's silly to think about. Now, let's be conservative. Everybody on board with that? From this point right here, that may hold up. This could be your new dollar. Anybody remember a dollar back in the last cycle where it was just bouncing off a dollar, bouncing off a dollar? Didn't matter what happened in the market. Did not matter. Worst days ever, it was going down to a dollar. That's what it was doing last cycle. All right, this cycle, different story, obviously. But last cycle, it was a dollar. It just kept bouncing and bouncing, maybe 99 cents. Every time it went down, I was buying. I was a buyer. What we're hoping is that this is your new dollar, right? In terms of the price action for Cardano. Now, if you were going to take that, thinking about where we're at, you're roughly at about 26 cents. If it were to go up to 50 cents, or pretty damn close to 50 cents, you're doubling your money. You're doubling your money. That's what I'm going to be looking for, okay? I do have some skin in the game with Cardano. You do see the 200 working its way down on the daily, and you do have a very, very, very clear horizontal. But we got to break the 50. The 50 has been instrumental in this move down. It has not been above the 50, at least with any kind of authority, since October of 2025. The 50 SMA has been a huge bit of resistance for Cardano. You would like to see it break, and if you get above this horizontal right here that I have labeled, you kind of see where I got this just this predictive price action or price movement. I think if we get back into that range, that would be a good sign. That would be a change of character. That would be an indication that we could get that push back up to about 50 cents, and that, my friends, is where I am done playing the game. Why? Couple of reasons. You got the 200 working aggressively down. I think that is going to be in play here. I think you could get a push up. There's no doubt about it. And really, let's extend out the trend line. I'm big on the structure, right? Like if you're seeing on the macro or the larger time frames a very distinct trend line, you got lower highs. That is clear as day, right? You got lower highs, and then you have a high volume area node. Like I'm not fighting that. I got no interest in fighting that. Because I would just wait for a breakout retest, and then if you want to take a swing trade off that, take a flyer, we'll say, on that, go for it, man. But for me, in my position, because I know that my cost basis is down, down here, I'm just looking for it to go to 50. That's it. Go to 50 cents. I'm done skis. I'm going to take those profits, and then I'm going to look, to see if I can reallocate it. Now you're like, hey, if it goes all the way up, cool. Again, what I look at, you just shift this up. Boom. All you do is shift it up. And then instead of taking my initial, what am I doing? I'm taking my profit, and that will be the trade that I make. And then I protect that by putting a stop loss underneath the horizontal. that's how I'm approaching this. So like, I don't think it's over. The problem right now, sentiment is bad. There's a huge lack of interest in crypto. And you know, the interesting part is too, is that a lot of people jumped in the last cycle. And I would say like younger individuals, I won't say kids, but I would just say younger, you know, 20s in that ballpark. There was a lot of interest. You know, when I was in the Marines, and you know, the kids were always talking to me about crypto, and like they were in Doge and it was fun, and the memes, it was like the heyday, the NFTs, like it was a craze, right? It was a craze, and these kids were making tens of thousands of dollars. Some are losing tens of thousands of dollars, some are winning tens of thousands of dollars, but it was fun, right? And people were into it. That shit's gone. Don't nobody talk about crypto hardly anymore. It's probably more so people that are kind of in between, you know, those walks of life that are kind of talking about crypto as an investment, kind of the old heads that got in and made some money on Bitcoin, on that investment, but they got in a while ago, you know, and you know, some people are looking to like reallocate some of it to real estate. I hear more talk about that. I would say more than anything now at this point is taxes and real estate is really what a lot of people are talking about at this point. So anyways, here or there, I think a move up to 50 cents would still make sense for Cardano. And that's kind of how I'm approaching that one. You guys, you've heard me talk about that before. Tune has not changed. What I'm getting at right now is like you're at an area where, you know, you could potentially look at getting in and holding for a little bit. Let's see what Andrew Cameron got. Alts are toast till 2027, and even then, we're at the stage it's only chains with network effect and lots of volume on chain. Yeah, man, I agree. Once stocks go on chain, I believe the trading focus will shift back to stocks on chain because most countries can't get leverage on regular exchanges, and this way, they can trade real companies. Yeah, there's also like an interesting, you know, conversation to be had too of like, how does that change the game for stocks when they go like tokenized, like fully tokenized, and everyone's offering like these digital versions of it? Is that even going to really affect the price? You know, that's going to be interesting. And I don't mean the ones that are on the exchanges now, because that is totally different. I don't think that it necessarily, it's more like a poly market on a crypto exchange, really, the way I see it, right? Because it's they are, you know, digitizing and tokenizing it, but it shouldn't have a realistic effect on the price action of the asset. It's like, is it going to go up or is it going to go down? And hey, man, you can throw some leverage on that thing too if you want, but it's not, the actual stock itself is not being exchanged. There's no way they would let that happen. Now, if there's going to be like some sort of like ETFs, and I don't, do you even need that? Probably doesn't even make sense. But anyways, here nor there, what do we got? 12:54. So let's wrap this up. Let's look at Soul. You know, we got to play that music here. One thing I got to do is I got to adjust the volume because this music is blasting for me. There we go. Oh, you know what I got to do is I got to lock it. Wonder if I can do that. I'll look at that after the show. All good. So let's look at Solana. We haven't looked at that too much here recently. Scrolling down, if only I knew how to spell. It is at $86. So there you go. We just got under that buy zone there. Unfortunately, it's a good line in the sand. It is also under the 50 SMA, so you got some confluence there between the charts, under the 50 SMA and under, right? You can see under these horizontals, right? That actually looks familiar, does it not? Man, that's tough. I would say be careful of longs for Solana right now. Same thing. You want to get over the 50. I'd say getting over the $100 mark, which is a nice psychological area. Low right here. Point of control is at about 100. That's where you can take the long. I think if you're looking, you know, to hold it a little bit longer. Again, this would not be like a scalp. This would be more like intraday to / swing trade. Getting above this area and looking for a move up. Dude, this 120 has been an absolute magnet for Solana. I mean, look at how many times it's interacted with that level. I count this for you all the time. It's upwards of 8-9 times where it's bounced out of that zone. I think that, you know, a move above here, if you want to be bullish, if you're got a long bias, you know, I think that is realistic. But that's what we'll be looking for. You're gonna want to see that impulse move through, come back down, retest it again. You're gonna want to see some buying pressure to support that move, that continuation, and you would really just be protecting yourself by putting a stop loss below that horizontal there, really sub into that range. Maybe you look at the value area high of this previous range here, and then place your stop loss somewhere around there. Again, that's going to be more of a intraday, you know, swing type trade. Let's see here. Let's extend this out. Because I'm telling you, 120, absolute magnet for Solana. Let's bring that out. There you go. We'll move this over here. Actually, let's move them both. That's my ADD kicking in. Not my ADD, my OCD. I don't really have OCD, but I have tendencies. So there you go. But yeah, I think that's a pretty realistic move for Solana. Stay away from longs right now until you break back above. That's a 25% move. 25% move. Nobody is going to be mad about that. But for now, right now, you got resistance directly overhead. Be very, very careful. I mean, your bias right now for Solana would be taking shorts off of that, the 50 SMA, as well as that horizontal, and just kind of playing the range here. What you could do is put yourself a little fixed range volume profile on here. There you go. So this is an impulse move through, right? You see that big old candle? You get that big old candle through the zone. That's going to be your impulse move through. That's what you'll be looking for. Big old candle. All right, candle closed. Look at how far down it closed. Way down here. Okay, so this is on the daily. I mean, I think you could see something like that on the 4 hour. And you see that something like that on the 4 hour, that's going to be your sign, folks. That will be your sign that you start looking for that retest. All right, so there you go. Look at that. POC aligns with the high volume area node right there. That might actually be like if you were to take a play, you know, your stop loss maybe goes below there. So there's definitely going to be, I think you're going to be looking at probably a 10%, yeah, 8-9% move. So that'll be a 2-to-1, I would say. You just do something like this. Always kind of check stuff to be like, hey, is the juice worth the squeeze? Let's look at 120 there. Let's see. Oh, come on now. Play nice. Play nice. There we go. Is the juice worth the squeeze? It's pretty damn close. You're close to a 2-to-1. You want to give yourself a little bit of a buffer. You would actually have to send this one up even there. That's close to a 2-to-1. I don't know if I'd be like all in on that. But I say it's good high probability if you get back above. And like I said, if you get that impulse move through the zone. Let's see here. I'm gonna add Solana. Let's go back left on the chart. Let's do a macro fib on that real quick, and then we're gonna get out of here. So let's take bear market low to the high, and we're at the 0.786. Interesting. So you're at the 0.786 now. And really, there's not a lot of volume there. Let's see the bottom of the platinum pocket. That's where you start building up that volume. And look at this. This is really where you got $20. Good God. People would be crying, man. People would be absolutely crying. Solana was at $280, almost $300. And if it were to go down to 20, holy moly. But that being said, I would be a buyer right around $25. You got the volume, you got the horizontals that support it. Look at this. Low here, tap, 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 tap-a-roo. Kind of like Happy Gilmore, just tap it in. They'll tap it, tap, and then boom. Full send. Coming back down here. Yeah, I mean, again, support, resistance, move through, and never really looked back. So I do like that zone right around... I'd say right around 25 or so. I would probably be a buyer down there. That's one I'm not gonna say I YOLO it, but I would probably just sling a little capital at about $25. And that's just, hey, we'll let this cycle ride out, and see if we can get back above. Now, yeah, we've kind of talked about that. 120, that's an important level. Now, if you were to get back in, or if you were to get in and you're looking at, $20, $25, it's always important to have kind of an exit strategy too, right? And really, you're going to have to wait to see what develops down here. It's not going to be a straight move through. You're just going to see what develops in there, and that'll kind of determine on where you could get out. But could you double your money? Like, I'm sure that would kind of be a question. Very, very realistically. Very realistically. So, bottom of the range, coming back left, looking, you got some support here. You did have a little rejection there before you got that move through, retest this zone. So, I think that's very realistic to think that you can move back up, or at least, double it from about $25, and then you don't fight the structure, you don't fight the ranges, the bottom of the ranges, or any of that stuff. I don't, long-term play, it's still far out to think about, but I do think that's something you should probably annotate on your chart at least. Just, if it goes down there, set an alert. If it goes down there, set an alert. That's one of the beautiful things, we get into these moves to the downside here, is that you can find very clear areas where you're not, not necessarily going to catch the bottom every time, but, it could work out quite well if you're looking at about $20-25, and you might be surprised. It gets down there, and, as people have kind of been getting beat up all the way down, you could have a position just kind of sitting there waiting, worst case scenario, and maybe you have an October 10th event again where it just dumps, through the floor, and you might get lucky and catch a limit order down there. That happens more times than you would believe. I used to do that with just a liquidation heat map, where I would be like, okay, where's all liquidity sitting? Where is max pain in terms of liquidations? And I would set a limit order and just let that thing sit. And funny enough, they got filled quite a bit. All right, if we were down at the bottom of the day, I can only see buying Sol, ETH, Hype, BNB, and TRX. The only chains that are actually being used as crypto goes. Yeah, for me, I add AVAX to that only because they have real world utility. I haven't really backed off of that. I know it doesn't look great in terms of, where it's at right now, price action wise. But Solana's down 73% from September. What's it off the high, right? Reset a high. Where are you at? 76%. But at least it set another high. AVAX did not. And it's kind of the scary part about AVAX. They're not really doing a great marketing job, but trust me, if you do the research, they are putting stuff on the blockchain, and they are like the go-to for a lot of different institutions, state, like government entities. Let's see here. They had a push up to 65. Let's see what the drawdown is on that one. That one is 85%. Yeah, it's ugly. But it's about samesies for Ethereum, Solana. All of them gotten their ass beat since really 2024. Just getting crushed. So that's why I say be careful, because the parallel is not there. What was the pullback from the high previous cycle? Jeez, that's ugly. You're back to bear market lows. Man, look at that. 94%. That's crazy. 94%. All right, so if you grab some AVAX down here, which I wouldn't be against, you got the 50 SMA to deal with. It's already testing the 50 SMA, so you got that going for you. High volume area node has already been touched in all the wrong ways. Let's go ahead and move this out to the right here. I'm actually going to slide that down just a little bit. Let's move the buy zone out of the way. Boom. You're breaking out of the range though, or trying. See, AVAX is a little bit ahead. It's a little bit ahead. Because this is what I've been looking for. Hey, breakout retest. Looking for that continuation up. Let's get that out of the way though. Let's move this. Let's move this. Does not change. All right, what are we looking at? I'd say bottom of the range here. That's the play. I think that's the play. If we get the breakout. You're going to have a pit stop here, no doubt about it. But I think a 50% move for AVAX is well within reason. Now, you might have to hold that, but what you wait for is really just like, okay, cool. Like we have this range, we established a range. Do we now take a step above? And do we start to consolidate above the current range? You start to consolidate above that range, then cool. Like that opens the door. You're probably going to see a move up, high volume area node. What's it going to do? Probably reject, come back down, retest the high of that range, and then try to step up again. You know, that's kind of how, that's a logical move. It may not perfectly happen that way. It never does. Sometimes it's more aggressive, but like you're going to see that, right? Like right here, got a range, cool. Range, cool. Range, cool. Now it got above that range. What'd it do? It came back down, retested it, moved up, little retest, boom, came back, you know, and then went up again. So you see, like, that's kind of the way that price action likes to flow. Test the highs and the lows and, you know, move through and then on to the next and then establishes another range. It's not always that you see something this aggressive, right? Stair step down again. So keep your eye on something like that for AVAX. I think it's logical. I wouldn't say like, hey, go ape in, but like it's not a bad DCA point. Like if you're looking till Q3 of this year, this is not a bad starting point. Unless you just think alts are done. And if that's the case, then cool. Like just wait for your DCA points on Bitcoin. But you know, if you have an interest in altcoins, like we are at bear market lows for a lot of these coins. This is probably not a bad spot. Like you're not buying here where you're looking in the 30s, 40s, 50s for AVAX. You're looking at $9. $9. Bear market lows. All right, it went as low as what, $8.57. We actually, same deal on Coinbase. AVAX has taken the low and has taken all the liquidity off the table. It's no longer a factor. So the incentive to continue to push down is a lot less because everything, all the stop losses that were on the exchange, they are no more. Unless their stop losses were down here, which is not likely. Less likely, we'll say. Less likely. Stop losses are all the way up from pretty much this low here all the way up, and then they've just been getting wiped off. Now they're pretty, I would say, mostly gone. Mostly gone. Unless Binance has a significantly longer history, you know, I would say like this opens up the door. I think we need some real fear yet. It's only been price-based fear. Wait till some shit starts to collapse. We get a few exchanges going down. Yeah, very interesting to talk about the exchanges. I think that they will have an impact because something that I learned this year was that some of the smaller exchanges actually purchase Bitcoin through Binance. And they take these leverage positions. They're still doing it. Remember, that was a big issue with the exchanges before, is they were taking leverage positions and getting liquidated. They're still doing it. And October 10th, a lot of those exchanges got hit really, really hard. That's why everybody was going after Binance and all that FUD was going around about Binance, because these smaller exchanges got liquidated because that move was so aggressive. It happened so quickly. It was like insta liquidations. Like there was nothing you could do. It was just like you got liquidated in like 10 seconds. And that that hurt a lot of the smaller exchanges. But at the same time, like, do we need all this? You know, that's one of the big questions like I always have is like, do you need all these exchanges? Like, you know, I never want to see anybody, you know, lose their money or any of that, but like, it's kind of the Wild West still. A lot of these exchanges aren't regulated, or, you know, there's no real oversight. You know, they're using user funds still, and they're taking leverage positions still. You know, that's kind of scary. But also too, like all of the tokens that are out there, all the projects that are out there, it's overwhelming. It's saturating the market to the point that your liquidity, you know, is going into like so many different places. Like, we need to bring that back a little bit. So I don't know that I'd be 100% against, you know, a regulation that makes there be some kind of certification process to introduce a crypto project. And I don't know what that would look like. I don't know if that's even realistic, but hey, like, you have to register to post like a project. So like all of these crazy memes that go on, you know, some of these, oh gosh, I forgot the one where everybody just like putting all the poop coins on it. It's Solana based, but you know, if something like that were to go away, I wouldn't be upset at all, man. Like, I think it's gambling. I think it's the Wild West. I think people are just taking advantage of people over and over and over again. It's kind of sad to be reals with you. But with that, it's time for me to get out of here. So if you guys enjoyed today's show, don't forget, like and subscribe. Go on over to 2bit if you guys want to save 20% on your trading fees. There are some competitions going on right now. You guys will get a cash kickback. There's also opportunity to win some money or a piece of 3.5 million. There's all kinds of stuff. Again, go over to the X, go over to the Discord, get kind of the update there. But you can save 20% off your trading fees. That is huge. That is huge when you really, really do the math on it. And I challenge you to do that. It's a really good deal, and it gives you access to all of my content. So that being said, I'm going to get out of here. Much love to you guys. Hope everyone has a great day. And as always, trade safe, be safe. I'm out.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why they say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.